The storm lamps of the derelict research vessel flickered like dying stars, casting skeletal light across the corridor where Arala Ven crawled. One hand pressed desperately against her thigh, where a sliver of shattered alloy had sliced through her suit and skin alike. The wound pulsed with each heartbeat, spilling warmth she could no longer afford to lose. Her vision blurred. But she forced herself onward, deeper into what her people called the Forbidden Hull, the last surviving human ship in the Proxima Expanse. Humans were a legend among her kind, violent, territorial, half-mythic creatures who'd once spread through the galaxy like a contagion before annihilating themselves in wars no one understood. Arala's people had long believed that any remnant of them, technology, weapons, or biological matter, was too dangerous to approach. But she was a seeker, and seekers did not obey fear. They followed truth. Still, she hadn't expected the human vessel to be inhabited. Her shuttle had barely docked when alarms screeched and a towering metal sentry lunged from the shadows. She dodged, sprinted through the ship's skeletal halls, and found refuge in a sealed lab, only to slip on debris and impale her leg. Now she bled, hunted, and cornered. And then she heard it, footsteps. Not metallic stomps, soft ones. Arala reached for her plasmic cutter, but her fingers trembled. Her mind raced with memories told in hushed childhood stories. Humans experimenting on alien prisoners, dissecting them, peeling apart their bodies to learn. She braced herself. The door hissed open. A human stood framed in the dim light. He was taller than she expected, though slimmer than the war monster myths portrayed. His clothing was patched, well-worn, and his eyes were not the cold predator's gaze she'd prepared herself for. They were searching, alarmed. "You're injured," he said, voice softer than the static hum of the lab. Arala hissed instinctively, baring sharp molars. "Do not come closer." The human raised both hands. "I'm not here to hurt you. I shut down the security drone that chased you. It would have killed you." She narrowed her eyes. Humans do not show mercy. A faint, humorless smile tugged at his lips. "Then it's a good thing I'm out of practice." Arala blinked. A strange dizziness overtook her. Her plasmic cutter slipped from her grasp. The human lunged, not violently but swiftly, to catch her before she hit the deck. She braced for the agony of torture. But instead, he simply bandaged her wound. His name was Elias Ward, last living crew member of the Helios Ark, a generational vessel stranded after a catastrophic reactor collapse. For over 30 years he had lived alone, kept afloat by decaying automated systems and his own stubborn engineering skill. When Arala woke in a narrow cot inside the ship's infirmary, she found him sitting at her side, exhaustion etched into his face but relief softening his posture. "You lost a dangerous amount of blood," he said. "I sterilized the wound and sealed the tear in your suit. You're safe." Arala stared at him. "Why?" Elias shrugged. "Because you needed help. And because you're the first living soul I've seen in decades." She studied him. The strange lines on his face, the softness in his tone, the absence of the cruelty she'd grown up believing inherent to his kind. "My people say humans are destructive. That you nearly tore the galaxy apart." He didn't flinch. "Some of us did terrible things. But some tried to build instead of break. You'll find that true of any species." The simplicity of that truth unsettled her. As she recovered over the next few days, Elias showed her the ship's hydroponics bay, now overgrown with wild, tangled vines. He introduced her to Nessa, the ship's caretaker AI, who flickered through speakers like a ghostly companion. He cooked for her. Simple, earthy meals with flavors unlike anything from her world. Arala found herself constantly re-evaluating everything she had ever believed about humanity. But the ship was failing. One morning, alarms wailed through the corridors. Reactor breach imminent. Elias rushed to suit up, ignoring the pain in his old injuries. "If we don't reroute the coolant flow, the entire vessel will explode," he said. Arala stared at him, stunned. "You cannot do that alone." He hesitated. "You're still recovering. If something happens..." "I am a seeker," she snapped, fastening her chest plate. "We walk into danger for truth." His smile was faint but grateful. "Then let's save this relic." The core chamber roared with heat, the air shimmering like liquid glass. Coolant pipes hissed under lethal pressure, and the reactor pulse stuttered like a dying heartbeat. Elias climbed toward the emergency override panel, while Arala recalibrated auxiliary channels below. Every movement sent pain lancing through her half-healed leg, but she pushed through it. "You know," Elias called over the din, "my ancestors always imagined that if we met other species again, you'd all hate us." Arala shouted back, "Some still will. But not all." She paused, adjusting a converter. "You helped me. That changes things." A tremor shook the structure. Elias nearly slipped before she caught his arm, steadying him. They exchanged a look. Mutual dependence, mutual trust. Then Elias slammed the override. The reactor quieted. The light steadied. The tremor faded into stillness. They'd done it. Elias sank to the floor, laughing softly in disbelief. Arala lowered herself beside him. For a long moment they simply sat together, listening to the ship breathe again. "You saved my home," he murmured. "You saved my life," she replied. "And you walked into fire beside me." She inclined her head. "Humans are not what I expected." He chuckled. "And you're kinder than any alien I grew up hearing about." In the following days, Arala repaired her shuttle. Elias helped, though she suspected he did so reluctantly. His loneliness was a gravity well, pulling at her in ways she didn't anticipate. When the final hull panel sealed shut, they stood in silence. "You'll return to your people," Elias said, trying and failing to hide the sadness in his voice. Arala nodded. "They must know the truth about humans. Not the legends. The living truth." "And what is that exactly?" he asked. She stepped closer. "That your kind are flawed and brilliant, dangerous and compassionate. That you are capable of harm, but also capable of extraordinary kindness." Elias lowered his gaze. "Will they believe you?" "Some will not," she said. "But seekers plant truths that grow slowly." He smiled, small and warm. "Will I ever see you again?" Arala considered. "If you wish to leave this ship, I can petition for sanctuary. You deserve a life beyond these rusted halls." Elias looked around. The broken screens, the patched wires, the ghosts of his long solitude. Then he looked at her. "I think," he said softly, "I'd like that." When Arala's shuttle detached from the ancient human vessel, Elias by her side, the stars seemed brighter than before. The myths she'd grown up with shattered like dust behind her, replaced by something new, something truer. She had braced for human torture, but he had simply bandaged her wound. And in doing so, he had healed far more than flesh.